Before I begin, I prepared my Devar Torah prior to learning of the so-called Day of Hate that's happening as we sit here today. So I hope that my words give some people some comfort in the midst of these atrocities. In Parshat Terumah, God presents Moses and the Israelites with instructions for building the Mishkan, the portable tabernacle which would hold the Ark of the Covenant and the Ten Commandments while the Israelites wandered the desert so that God could be with them throughout their journey. Most commentary on Parshat Terumah focus on the gifts that God has asked the Israelites to contribute to the tabernacle. But to me, perhaps the most resonant part of the Torah portion is found in Exodus 25:8, Ve'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, and let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Why is God asking the people to make the mikdash when God could simply do it? After all, God created the universe. Surely God could create a sanctuary. According to some, God is asking the people to do the work, to show that they are making the effort, that those who do the work are opening their hearts to God, and God will reward them by dwelling among them. God wants the Israelites to be active participants in their relationship with God, a blueprint, if you will, for feeling God's presence. But why was building a sanctuary necessary in the first place? Isn't God with us no matter where we are, no matter if we are gathered? Isn't God everywhere? So why does God ask that the Israelites build a sanctuary? Many commentators, including Rabbi Mordechai Katz, believe that the Israelites required a tangible token of God's presence so that they could never fear an absence of God. This makes sense, given that the Israelites were leaving Mount Sinai. As Umberto Cassuto commented, the Israelites may have feared that their connection to God may not be as strong as they journeyed on. So the tabernacle was a reassurance that God would always be with them. Even today, many feel that in order to truly access God, one needs to be in a specific place or a room, or that without a siddur, a Torah, or a talit, prayer is ineffectual or somehow lacking. But no one really needs a structure to pray and to observe rituals. It's not about the bricks and mortar. I, for one, have found myself praying in the strangest places. Really, who amongst us hasn't prayed in an airplane, a hospital, in our homes, really anywhere? So perhaps the sanctuary was to be more for us than for God, a place where we feel comfortable accessing God, listening to God's words, opening our heart and giving thanks to God. It's not about God dwelling in the mikdash, it's about God dwelling in us. In fact, an alternative translation of V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham is, let them build me a sanctuary that I may dwell within them. Not in the sanctuary, actually, but within the Israelites themselves, in our hearts. But let's face it, we all need a physical mikdash, a place of safety, especially in today's times with the abundance of hate, anti-Semitism, and homophobia in the world. CBST has become my safe place. I was always on the more religious end of my family spectrum. Was bat mitzvahed as a teen, although I read from the Torah for the first time today. Went to Hebrew high school, and even spent a truly amazing summer in Israel during high school with United Synagogue Youth. After I returned home from that trip, I swore I was going to go back to Israel and move there. Spoiler alert, I didn't. But then for years after that, I felt lost, unable to fit in at more traditional synagogues where the members fit neatly into a certain demographic. Members consisted of men who joined the men's club, who together with their lives were members of the couples club, and their children who one day joined a similar synagogue. The high holidays were little more than a fashion show, and let's be real, that is the opposite of me. And then I found CBST. I had always gone to high holiday services at CBST, but became an active member in 2019. At the time, I knew I needed something more in my life, but I didn't know what. Happily, although not surprisingly, it turns out that it was the CBST community that filled that empty space. No truer words were spoken than by Merryl, one of CBST's original members. Before CBST, I wouldn't have been in a shul on a Friday night. After, I wouldn't have been anywhere else. Truly, for me, when I walk through the doors of this building, I am enveloped with a sense of belonging and love. It's like walking into a big hug every week. On Shabbat, we chant Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, a psalm for Shabbat, which begins Tov Lahodot LaAdonai. It is good to give thanks to God. Those words are inscribed all over this shul, from the ark, when it's closed, to the entranceway, to the door handles, and in between. As Rabbi Kleinbaum and Rabbi Werber remind us each week, it is important to have gratitude not only for God, but for everything in our lives, even when outside forces make it difficult to be grateful. Today, I am extremely thankful for having had the opportunity to read from a scroll that contains teachings that are thousands of years old, yet somehow apply equally today. And I am grateful that I can share this simcha with everyone here, with community. Every day, I appreciate that I have CBST to fill my heart. When we sit here and pray, it doesn't matter the gender you identify with, the sexuality you prefer, the color of your skin, the degree of religion you practice, or the reason that you choose to be within these walls in the first place. But one thing is the same for all of us. We are safe. This is our sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom.